Hello, and welcome to Starry Storytime, a gentle, soothing space where evening stories and soft whispers guide you into a peaceful night's rest. Tonight, we're offering another relaxing tale designed to help ease your mind and lead you toward a comforting slumber. Before we begin, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for deep rest. Find a comfortable position, and with each slow inhale and soft exhale, let any worries from the day quietly slip away. It can be challenging to step away from the day's hustle, especially when it's time to sleep. Yet remember, the less we worry about falling asleep, the easier it becomes for our minds to let go of lingering tension. Allow the gentle rhythm of your breath to wash away any remaining concerns, and let tonight's story guide you into serenity. Now, settle in and let the soothing aura of Starry Storytime surround you. May you enjoy this story and drift into a tranquil, restorative night's sleep. Birdsong spills from the blossoming cherry and apple boughs as Auguste Dubois, straw hat perched jauntily, pushes open the door of his dwelling. He steps into the morning air, fingers combing through the silver cascade of his beard, his eyes sweeping across the Clos Normand, his petal-strewn kingdom. Dewdrops, like tiny jewels, cling to the newly unfurled flowers, a tapestry of pink, violet, white, and crimson. A smile touches his lips, a quiet affirmation of the scene, before he stoops to retrieve a small leather satchel and a folded wooden easel. Down the gravel path he ambles, pausing before a vibrant company of peonies. Squinting, Auguste appraises the blushing blooms, the intricate layering of their petals. Nearby, a honeybee hums its low, thrumming tune. The air, still crisp, gathers warmth with each passing second. Yes, he muses, this shall be the day's altar. Auguste unfolds the spindly legs of his timber easel, planting its tripod firmly upon the gray stones. Bending again, he unlatches the satchel, revealing brushes with short, eager bristles, a wooden palette awaiting its chromatic destiny, and an array of oil paint tubes. Even now, 4 decades since their advent, the liberating convenience of tubed pigments fills him with gratitude. Their ready nature allows swift work outdoors, squeezing vibrant ribbons directly onto canvas or mingling them upon his palette. This communion with the outdoors, the painter's ritual known as en plein air, had been Auguste's devotion since his youth. As a young man, he'd spent countless hours gazing across the shores and quays of his coastal hometown, Le Havre, in France's Normandy region. He'd observed the ocean's chameleon heart, how its colors shifted with the sun's traverse or the weather's whim. Consider the aquamarine shimmer of waves on a brilliant summer day, or the ominous gunmetal gray heralding a squall. Recall the vast navy cloak of the sea at twilight, its utter inkiness under a moonless sky. Auguste studied these metamorphoses, striving to capture their fleeting dance in his paintings, some born right there upon the sands. His quest was to distill the ephemeral, the very essence of a fleeting moment. So much so that he titled one seminal canvas, Impression Sunrise, back in 1872. When a Parisian critic later branded Auguste and his artistic brethren Impressionists, the label, though barbed, adhered. Yet he and his circle, figures like Renoir, Morisot, and Pissarro, embraced it. They painted their perceptions, instant by instant, day after day. Today, Auguste smiles again, drawing a slow, centering breath as he surveys his chosen spot. He remembers his first encounter with this land, the soil that would cradle his sanctuary. In the early 1880s, Auguste journeyed by rail through the slumbering French countryside west of Paris, past golden wheat fields turned by horse-drawn plows and timber-framed houses crowned with thatch. Roughly 50 miles from the capital, his gaze fell upon the quiet hamlet of Giverny, nestled where the Epte River surrendered to the Seine. Auguste, ever captive to light, watched the sun's rays fracture across the river's surface in tiny dancing ripples, glancing upwards to cast an ethereal glow upon the leaves of a nearby apple tree. In that instant, a profound sense of arrival settled within him. By 1883, he had relocated his family to Giverny, renting a modest house and a plot of earth he would patiently sculpt into a verdant haven. The cottage itself was extended into one long structure, offering ample room for family life and his studio, its facade painted a welcoming pastel pink, accented by shutters and frames in a lively green. Along the front, Auguste trained climbing roses over a pergola spanning the house's length, while Virginia creeper traced patterns across the pale walls. In summer's height, then as now, the house dissolves into the surrounding landscape, a seamless blend where pink and green greet the eye from every vantage. Though the dwelling anchored the Dubois family's existence, it was the gardens flourishing around it that truly nourished the artist's spirit with joy and tranquility. Initially, the land beside the Giverny cottage was mere farmland, plain and unadorned. But Auguste craved flowers in a riotous tapestry of hues and forms, a living palette available throughout the year. He planted accordingly scarlet poppies, their papery petals whispering in spring breezes, sunflowers craning their yellow and black faces toward the summer zenith, black-eyed Susans reaching for autumn's final golden afternoons before Normandy succumbed to winter's chill. As one might expect of a painter, Auguste often selected plants for their visual appeal, their color, prioritizing beauty above all else. By the early 1890s, sufficient success allowed him to purchase the Giverny homestead outright, along with its attendant lands. He then embarked on realizing the botanical paradise held vivid in his mind's eye. Auguste envisioned raised beds overflowing, celebrating the untamed elegance of nature unleashed. It stood in stark defiance of traditional French ornamental gardens, with their rigid lines and calculated spacing. His garden, conversely, would surge freely in a glorious profusion of contrasting tones and textures. He would juxtapose humble blooms, like sweet white and yellow daisies, with exotic Japanese apricot trees. Green metal arches spanned the gravel walkway, offering support for cherished climbing roses. He could almost inhale their heady perfume on the air. This garden would become known as the Clos Normand, an irresistible magnet for the artist then, and for visitors now. Auguste would lose himself for hours tending his beloved flora, and when not tending, he was painting them. Now, on this brisk spring morning, His plants stand vibrant and content, refreshed by a gentle nocturnal shower. No tending is required today. It is time to paint. Before summoning colors onto his wooden palette, Auguste must first lay down the canvas's ground. An even, smooth layer of light paint, typically lead white or the palest gray, applied across the entire surface. Oil paint possesses a subtle transparency, and colors laid upon this luminous foundation appear brighter, more radiant than on a dull, unprimed canvas. This intrinsic glow became a signature of Impressionism. After applying the thin wash of lead white, Auguste turns his focus back to the peonies, dissecting the anatomy of each furled leaf, the play of shadow and light within the bloom's heart, the woody grain of the stem. His observation is relentless. Unless pausing to cleanse a brush, his eyes return to the flowers every few seconds. At last, he is poised to begin, dipping his first brush towards the palette. For an artist of such scope and experience, one might picture a palette awash in countless pigments, but this was not Auguste's way. With a mere 9 proven colors at his disposal, he could conjure any conceivable shade through masterful mixing, a testament to his profound grasp of chemistry, optics, and color theory that rendered his paintings unforgettable. This morning, he glances again at the peonies arrayed in the Clos Normand. They stand regal in their pinkness, voluptuous and fragrant. A smile plays on Auguste's lips as he swirls his brush in madder red, his preferred crimson, before introducing a touch of lead white. The colors bleed into one another. He looks up again at the flower. A soft sigh escapes him. Not quite right, but easily remedied. Another glance confirms a subtle violet undertone in the living petals. His eyes scan the palette, landing on a small pool of French ultramarine, a piercing blue. Swirl, 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 until his brush mirrors the floral opulence before him. And then the alchemy commences. Upon the primed white canvas, Auguste draws his newly charged brush, its bristles whispering across the textured surface. Each gesture is deliberate, a whisper of pigment. Stroke by careful stroke, repetitive dabs coalesce into something recognizable. A single petal belonging to a generous bloom. The process is unhurried, almost meditative. Auguste becomes aware of his breath, synchronizing with the gentle rhythm of his brushwork. Dab, inhale, swipe, exhale. As time flows, Auguste varies the texture of his strokes, sometimes applying thicker impasto dollops, sometimes thinning the paint elsewhere. The canvas breathes with peaks and valleys, becoming more alive, compelling the eye to dance across its surface. Soon, scant space will remain for visual rest. Every corner will radiate color, brilliant chrome yellow where sunlight showers, lush emerald green in the tendrils of climbing roses, a delectable fusion of vermilion, cobalt blue, and lead white to capture the large-petaled clematis. Small, strategically placed areas of contrast amplify the vibrancy. A hint of green beside a red rose, a purple shadow opposing a golden sunflower. The foundation of this painting will be laid this morning, here in the Clos Normand. Auguste might refine it later in his studio, or perhaps declare it complete. One among many works executed swiftly yet assuredly throughout his mature years. In total, it is thought Auguste Dubois produced over 2,000 paintings, drawings, and pastels, though the precise count remains elusive. He was known on occasion to destroy works he deemed flawed. Today's effort, however, feels successful. Auguste pauses, smiling, dabbing his damp forehead with a cotton handkerchief as he admires his creation. He reaches down, his fingers brushing the soft velvet of a peony petal before gently lifting the satchel to his shoulder. For now, a respite is due, a leisurely promenade through his expansive gardens. The wooden easel stays put. Auguste will revisit it later this afternoon, seeking to capture these same pink peonies bathed in the fading twilight. Plucking one of Normandy's famed apples from his satchel, he strolls down a path bisecting the Clos Normand, perpendicular to a small road. Taking a deep breath, momentarily stilling his heart, he bites into the crisp red fruit. The tart-sweet explosion fills him with simple delight, and he savors the sensation while gazing across the road toward his next destination. The view transports him back several years, to a time when he expanded his garden realm into something novel, ambitious, and deeply personal. The Clos Normand, with its meticulous design for continuous bloom and visual intrigue, had initially offered years of artistic sustenance. It was his great solace, his private treasure, yet a yearning persisted for more inspiration, more flowers, perhaps even another garden entirely. Maybe across the road, a marshy patch lay there, neglected save for cattle seeking water. Once more, Auguste's fertile imagination ignited. Upon this boggy ground, he conjured visions of an aquatic realm, a pond brimming with water-loving plants. The genesis of this idea likely stemmed from Auguste's profound affinity for Japanese culture, a fascination widespread in Western Europe during the late 19th century. He had encountered Asian water gardens depicted in Japanese prints, which he collected with an ardor nearly matching his passion for the Clos Normand's flora. Within years, he had accumulated over 200 Japanese woodblock prints. A water garden represented the perfect synthesis of his passions: botany, culture, and, inevitably, art. By 1893, Auguste had acquired the coveted parcel and commenced the demanding task of its transformation into a water garden. By 1895, it already bore resemblance to the celebrated sanctuary he approaches today. Crossing the road, descending towards his Japanese water garden, he is greeted by lush, weeping willows cascading their tresses over a tranquil pond. Stands of woody green bamboo fringe the water's edge. Japanese maples and Asian varieties of peony and wisteria inject bursts of color. Here, Auguste masterfully wove together Asian aesthetics and Normandy's native charm. Most iconic were the two curved Japanese bridges he commissioned, which arc over the water in serene parabolas. Departing from tradition, where such bridges are typically painted red, Auguste chose a vibrant blue-green. The Japanese bridge itself would evolve into a recurring motif in a series of paintings, capturing its elegant curves through every season and atmospheric shift. The fiery tapestry of autumn foliage, the ethereal mists of a chill winter dawn. Yet, captivating as the bridge was, a final element of the water garden soon commanded his soul, dominating not only his thoughts, but also his artistic legacy, the water lilies. Standing now at the water's margin, Augusta gazes down at the pond's surface, trying to tally the infinite green paths that have colonized this haven. 10, 20, 30. Counting them all is an impossibility. Some cradle delicate purple lilies. Occasionally, a small green frog surveys its domain from atop one. These water lilies have become Auguste's singular obsession. He tends them devotedly, aided by a full-time gardener. To friends, he often declared that his water garden and its lilies could transport him to sheer ecstasy. It is a primary reason why now, and for the final 3 decades of his life, Auguste rarely ventures far from Giverny. He finds far greater fulfillment contemplating the water garden's shifting palette on a spring afternoon, or scrutinizing the pond's face after a dusting of winter snow. He grew mesmerized not just by the permutations of light, but by how the faintest breeze sent ripples skittering across the pond, fracturing the mirrored world below into an abstract mosaic of color and indistinct shapes. Auguste, his eyes perpetually open, now observes as a brisk wind transforms the pond's blue depths into a pool of pale gray. A fallen leaf momentarily obscures a glimpse of the pond floor, casting fleeting black shadows beneath it. Every season, every day, every instant held the potential for a fresh artistic revelation. A new impression demanding spontaneous capture. It is hardly surprising, then, that he would ultimately create over 250 canvases dedicated solely to these water lilies from his aquatic garden. These works, known collectively as the Nymphaeas, rank among the most treasured of all Auguste's creations. When we encounter his paintings today, it can be easy to overlook their scale, their resonance, their significance. Yet they bequeathed a profound legacy upon an art world caught unaware. Impressionism nudged the door open towards abstraction's horizon. It revolutionized conceptions of how light, color, tone, and texture could be rendered, offering new vocabularies for expressing emotion and sensation within the physical medium of paint. Auguste's paintings are undeniably masterpieces, but his gardens, too, can be regarded as a magnum opus. These cultivated spaces were, and remain, living works of art that birthed creations of their own, continuing to inspire artists even now. Today, however, Auguste's thoughts dwell far from artistic posterity. He is immersed in the present moment, enveloped by the gardens he so lovingly planted and will continue to lovingly paint. Even after all this time, the sheer beauty surrounding him can still steal his breath. As the day concludes, the sun dips behind the willows arching over the water garden. Auguste leans against the steadfast trunk of a tree he nurtured from a sapling. He listens to the cricket's insistent chirp, the frog's guttural reply. The moon, ascending softly, will soon mute the garden's daytime symphony of color into subtle variations of blue, purple, and gray. Darkness approaches. He rises and retraces his steps across the Japanese bridge, ascends to the road, crosses back towards the Clos Normand, seeking repose. Auguste draws one final breath, inhaling the lingering perfume of the flowers embracing him. An owl calls out nearby as he pads up the gravel path once more, entering his house and securing the verdant portal against the night. He bids good night to his cherished garden, his deepest wellspring of inspiration, secure in the knowledge that he will return to its embrace with the morning light. Let your breath settle, finding its own quiet rhythm. Allow the sanctuary within your mind to dissolve, replaced now by the immense, shimmering blue expanse off the Australian coast. Gold light spills from the heavens as you find yourself aboard a motor launch, the Drifter, easing towards a small isle lush with palms and dense emerald foliage. The gentle percussion of waves against the hull accompanies the thrumming engine, a sea breeze kissing your skin. Far off, piercing the greenery, stands a tall alabaster structure, the lighthouse of Azure Cay. Here, our narrative unfurls. The Drifter advances steadily, its passage carving a temporary wake. Rory, the skipper, confirms the island's name, Azure Cay, whispered like a local secret. Nearing the shore, he cuts the engine. The boat drifts, momentum slowly yielding. Silence descends, amplifying the soft sighs of waves against the white fiberglass. Peering overboard, you witness vast fluid constellations of minuscule fish darting through the shallows, their collective movement casting fleeting, rippling shadows across the pale umber sand beneath. Ahead, the island reveals its miniature forest, fragrant palms mingling with native gum trees. Their leaves dance in the breeze, wafting a subtle, sweet perfume towards you. Ascending from this verdant heart is the stark white lighthouse, its stillness a profound counterpoint to the kinetic energy of rustling leaves and lapping water. The sound from the trees is a gentle susurrus, a welcoming ovation. Though diminutive, this stretch of land possesses an undeniable beauty. As you glide closer, the coastline's palette captivates. Transparent shallows reveal the sandy bottom, transitioning further out into gradients of turquoise and sapphire that stretch unbroken to the distant horizon, where the ocean melts into the pale wash of the sky. The launch nudges gently against a wooden pier. You step onto the sun-bleached weathered timbers, poised for exploration. Rory offers a parting wave from the Drifter. He has fishing plans, but promises a return later in the day to collect you. The pier guides you onto a ribbon of brilliant white sand encircling the entire quay. Leaving the wooden walkway, you cross the beach into a shaded clearing beneath towering trees. A semicircle of huts and cabins nestles here, havens for visitors lingering longer. Running a hand over one cabin's smooth wall, you detect a faint pattern of tiny grooves, an echo, perhaps, of the offshore swells. Beyond the largest cabin, A thicket of leafy trees screens the base of the Azure Kai lighthouse. This edifice, the island's focal point and the purpose of your journey, beckons. Yet the call of the surrounding nature proves initially stronger. To one side, a weathered signboard details the local fauna. You scan the text, learning that the creatures inhabiting this isle are descendants of generations past. Some braved the swim from the mainland, others arrived through migratory tides. Over time, they forged their own distinct community here on Azure Kai. Embarking on a circumnavigation of the island, you draw in its unique perfume, a blend of palm, salt spray, and sun-baked earth. It smells, quite simply, like perfection by the sea. Your path curves gently, the pier soon slipping from view. After a time, the allure of the water becomes irresistible. Distant reefs buffer the quay from powerful waves, rendering the nearshore waters calm, inviting. Shedding your shoes, you wade in, the coolness rising up your legs. Then a full immersion, gliding through the refreshing embrace of the sea. You float effortlessly on your back, buoyed by the gentle current. The midday sun burns bright and potent. You close your eyes against its glare, surrendering to the water's cradle. Cool sea soothes your back while the sun lavishes warmth upon your face and limbs. Here, enveloped by the ocean, the only sound is the quiet murmur of water around you. After several minutes of repose, deeply relaxed, you feel renewed and ready to proceed. Wading ashore, you retrieve your shoes and traverse the sand once more, discovering a narrow, well-worn track, meandering through palms and coconut trees. Fallen fruit litters the ground. You stoop to pick up a coconut, noting the coarse texture of its husk against your palm. It feels heavy, ripe. Returning to the beach, where small rocks lie scattered in natural arrangements, you strike the coconut against a jagged edge. It cracks, releasing a fountain of clear liquid that sparkles in the sunlight. Tilting the broken shell above you, you let the juice cascade into your mouth. Fresh, sweet, utterly revitalizing. Once drained, you use the rock again to split the husk further. It breaks into 2 clean halves. Shattering these again yields 4 crescent moons of white flesh gleaming on the sand. One by one, you lift the pieces and savor the delicious meat. Crisp yet surprisingly tender, exuding a sweet tropical fragrance. Satisfied, you decide to venture back amongst the trees. A low, resonant buzzing emanates from one of the palms. Soon you pinpoint its source. A beehive, curiously pineapple-shaped, suspended from a branch. Its weight causes the palm trunk to lean slightly, creaking softly. Giving the hive a respectful distance, you continue through tall, reedy grasses until the path deposits you back onto the beach. This sandy perimeter stretches unbroken around the island, leading eventually back towards the main pier. You stroll along the shore until the tall stone structure that lends the quay its renown comes fully into view. At last, you stand before the Azure Kai lighthouse. The entrance stands open, imposing double doors painted a striking crimson. The lighthouse walls are flawlessly smooth, curved cylinders of white. Roughly midway up, tall, ledged windows punctuate the surface, perhaps 10 meters high. Above these sits a viewing gallery, and crowning the entire structure is the enormous lamp assembly, capped by a roof that seems disproportionately small, like a jaunty hat. You step inside into a compact entrance hall bathed in sunlight filtering through high windows. Dominating the space is a magnificent spiral staircase, hugging the circular interior wall. At ground level, the lighthouse feels hushed, still, and faintly damp. The walls are immensely thick, built to withstand tempestuous winds. Furnishings are sparse, just 2 invitingly plush armchairs. Black and white tiles form a checkered floor, while the white painted staircase boasts an ornate wrought iron banister. You begin the ascent, your footsteps echoing in the cylindrical chamber. Reaching the first landing, you pause to catch your breath, inhaling deeply, then slowly exhaling. Even within these stone confines, the briny scent of the ocean permeates, carried on the persistent breeze. A chair rests beside the window. You sink into it for a moment, leaning back, absorbing the view. Beyond the fringe of palm trees, the ocean glitters, an endless expanse of sparkling blue. Rested, you rise, determined to reach the summit. The staircase narrows as it climbs higher, illuminated now by shafts of glorious sunlight pouring through the upper windows. Finally, you mount the last step. You find yourself in a bright lantern room with sloping walls. Your attention is immediately drawn to a beautiful mosaic adorning one wall. Moving closer, you discern the artwork's subject, a vibrant green gecko lounging contentedly in the shade of a coconut palm. Imagination, perhaps, but the lizard appears to be smiling. Across the room, an open doorway leads out onto the viewing deck. You step through it, into the brilliant light. 20 meters above the ground, the sensation is one of suspension between earth and sky. The panorama is utterly breathtaking. Azure Kai floats amidst an infinite ocean. Near the shore, a coral reef registers as a dark blue smudge against the otherwise aquamarine water. A deceptive darkness, for up close, the reef would resemble a submerged rainbow forest teeming with colorful life. This reef, of course, is the lighthouse's raison d'être. Your gaze shifts from the magnificent vista to a plaque affixed to the gallery railing. You begin to read. A century ago, Azure Cay was uncharted, its existence largely unknown until the tragic disappearance of a grand merchant vessel. Years later, a search party investigating the loss discovered the ship had foundered on a coral reef. Explorers scanning the ocean spotted its hull breaching the surface like a metallic iceberg near a small unnamed island. For many years, the wreck remained undisturbed by humans, becoming a haven for wildlife. Herons, kites, and other seabirds nested amongst its decaying structures. Then, one day, the last visible part of the hull succumbed to the sea, vanishing completely beneath the waves. Now, the shipwreck rests near the reef, just off Azure Cay's coast. A silent monument and a destination for divers. As you finish reading, you sense a presence nearby. Turning, you see a man clad in a flannel shirt and sturdy jeans. His expression is open, welcoming. He introduces himself as Silas, the lighthouse keeper, extending a hand. You shake it, noticing the dry, leathery texture of his skin, weathered by sun and toil. Curiosity stirs within you about the rhythms of its solitary life, the nature of his duties. Silas walks to the opposite side of the lookout, beckoning you to join him. A slender steel ladder ascends towards the colossal lamp above. Climbing the ladder, you feel fine, powdery rust coating your fingertips. You follow Silas, who has already scaled the 20 rungs to the platform supporting the light. Reaching the top, you stand beside the immense apparatus. Directly beneath it, a small doorway leads into the keeper's private quarters. He invites you inside. The ceiling is low, the room surprisingly dim. It contains a small bed, a battered chest of drawers, and a stack of well-thumbed books. Inhaling, you register the pervasive salty tang that saturates the air. The scent of the sea is everywhere in the muted light. Silas moves to the far side of the room and unlatches a hatch in the ceiling. With practiced ease, he ascends the ladder dangling down, then calls for you to follow. Climbing up behind him, you emerge right beside the massive light itself. The array of bulbs creates a complex, shimmering surface. Sunlight glances off the polished reflector dish behind them. Peering into the lens, you see a beautiful, fragmented distortion of the world, an abstract canvas reflecting slivers of your face amidst patches of sky and sea. The lamp radiates a dazzling, silvery potential. You settle into a nearby chair, observing Silas, wondering what comes next. He's busy beneath the light assembly, adjusting wires, employing specialized tools. His movements create a slow, rhythmic metallic clinking. For a time, you find your breath sinking unconsciously with this steady beat. It's as if Silas has forgotten your presence, but then he looks up, catches your interested gaze, and smiles. "Let me tell you how things work around here," he offers, his voice soft, mellow. You listen intently as he begins. "There are 2 of us keepers, myself and Finn. We do 2 weeks on, then get 2 weeks back home. He's due early tomorrow with the supply boat. We'll spend the day catching up, maybe play some cards, share a meal. Then I head back to the mainland in the evening. My routine these days? I usually sleep from about 5 in the morning till noon." He pauses, perhaps picturing it. "Then I'll swim, cook something, just relax. The afternoons are for maintenance, any jobs needing done." A fond look crosses his face. "Sunset's a real spectacle here. You should stay for it. And once it's dark, well, that's showtime. I fire up the light, check the shipping logs for planned voyages, get on the radio, see what's happening out there. Just making sure everything runs smooth. That's what I call a job well done." While Silas speaks, you gaze out through the lantern room glass. Sunset is indeed approaching. The sun hangs just above the water, poised as if for a final dive. Wisps of cloud trail behind it, drifting languidly along the horizon. Glancing back at Silas, you notice he's bent over, focused on something in his lap. You approach quietly and see he's sketching. A small parakeet takes flight amidst palm fronds on his paper. Silas explains that drawing helps pass the time. He usually completes a few sketches each shift. He offers to show you more of his work. Descending briefly into his cabin via the hatch, he reappears a moment later, holding 2 crisp sheets of paper. The drawings are exquisite. One, rendered in sharp black and white, captures the sinuous form of a sea snake gliding into deeper water. The intricate detail on its striated body seems oddly familiar. The other, softly shaded with colored pencils, is atmospheric and full of life. It depicts cheerful tourists dining outdoors, a vibrant meal of orange fish and coconut curry spread before them. Rory, the skipper who brought you here, is in the picture too, grinning as he strums a guitar for the holiday makers. Suddenly, you recognize the style. You've seen postcards like these in mainland souvenir shops. When you mention this, Silas nods, pleased. They are indeed his creations, he confirms. Then he gestures towards the window. The sun is setting. Half the fiery orb appears to rest upon the ocean's surface, its reflection on the dazzling water completing the circle. The sky ignites, transformed into a watercolor masterpiece of molten orange and soft pink. You watch, mesmerized as the sun sinks lower, finally slipping beneath the horizon, leaving only lingering rays painting the clouds. Looking at Silas, you're struck by his expression. A quiet smile, tiny lines crinkling the corners of his eyes. Perhaps it's gratitude, you think, for the daily privilege of witnessing such beauty. With the sun gone, it's time for Silas's primary duty, activating the light. A sense of anticipation fills the small space. He moves to the rear of the lamp mechanism, pulling 4 heavy levers in sequence, engaging each section. Then, reaching down, he flips another switch on the mounting. The entire apparatus begins its slow, majestic rotation. From this height, you witness the perfect sweeping arc of the intense beam as it cuts through the twilight, illuminating the treacherous reef, searching the darkening sea for approaching vessels. You realize, with a pang of regret, that your time on Azure Cay is drawing to a close. Rory might already be waiting at the pier. You shake Silas's hand again, thanking him for an unforgettable day. Then carefully, you descend the cool steel ladder back to the viewing deck. One final lingering look at the panorama, now settling into a still, starlit tableau. The ocean breathes softly below, and a gentle breeze seems to whisper goodnight. Returning to the stone tower, you begin the long, spiraling descent. You take the stairs carefully, one step at a time, pausing occasionally to peer through the narrow slit windows, catching fragmented glimpses of the night outside. Emerging from the lighthouse, you head towards the beach to find Rory. The night air carries a different perfume now. The island's daytime tropical sweetness has yielded to a deeper, dreamier earthiness, the scent of lush, nocturnal vegetation. On the beach, you discover Rory hadn't just waited. He'd strung a hammock between 2 palms and drifted off to sleep. The hammock sways gently, mirroring the motion of the drifter tied at the jetty. He looks so utterly peaceful, you haven't the heart to wake him just yet. Perhaps a final moment of rest for yourself before the journey back. You lie down on the cool, soft sand, gazing up at the infinite scatter of stars. Above, the lighthouse beam sweeps rhythmically across the darkness, a hypnotic pendulum painting the sky, tracing paths across the constellations. Back and forth, back and forth. You close your eyes, drawing in a deep, slow breath, and exhale completely. It is time to rest now, to dream of this perfect day.